It's time to execute Order 420 to talk about the High Republic. That and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our astromech today is EPC 388. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hey Seema, how's it going?
Going pretty well. We're having a good time in pre-show talking about various things. But we're going to be talking about the High Republic tonight. Everything, not just the first book that we read last month or a couple months ago, because we're getting ready to read the next book. In fact, you and I have already started it.
Yes, we started. So you're going to have to catch up. But yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. In terms of SWTOR, though, this week, we went, for MFN, we went to Nature of Progress, which I had never done before for MFN. And we had a blast. We got 3 bosses down, which are, depending on how you count them. But yeah, that was awesome. And to do a 16-man version of that first fight with Red is no joke because, you know, it's positioning and there's not a lot of room everywhere. So it was awesome. We had a great time. And then on the other end of the spectrum, on our ops team tonight, we went and did story mode, Scum and Villainy. And that was like a cakewalk because we've been doing lately we've been doing veteran mode in there. And the story mode now just, you know, seems so easy. But that was like a blast.
We crushed that. We every single boss, we were like, is it already dead? What happened?
What? Yeah.
That was crazy.
And then after that we went and did Nightmare Nephra, which we've kind of started to sort of get in the habit of ending the evening with Nightmare Nephra.
Yep.
Just for any interesting loot she might drop and
OEMs. 40 million credits
OEMs.
per kill.
Yeah,
Might
that's
as well
right.
do it.
I've been working on leveling. I was leveling sort of everyone, but I decided this week to focus on one character, and I happen to be logged into one of my shadows, so I'm leveling my shadow. The one I'm doing is Seema later, so she's like 65 now, so I'm probably gonna get her to 75, I think.
Seema later.
Yep.
I like that name.
And I've been trying to get into the habit before I log out or switch characters or whatever of going to the casino and spending whatever Emperor chips I've gotten that day on that character. Because since they're not buying on Legacy, they just even though they're a currency, they go to your specific character. And I don't want to forget and then come across them later in the year and go, oh, look, she's got 2 Emperor chips. So
wait, no, they're legacy bound.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're in your hit I. They're in your currency tab. The casino.
Yes, they are. They are in the currency tab.
Oh,
I said that.
They're not legacy bound. They're in the currency tab, but not legacy.
Yes.
Really?
Well, now I'm questioning myself.
Well, here I'll tell you because I knew I had 15 earlier on my mercenary. No, I got 29 smugglers chips and no emperor's chips. Really,
Yes.
guys? Oh,
So,
crikey! You're right. I'm gonna be all messed up.
Right. So
I got chips all over the place. Oh,
That's
no.
right. That's right.
Oh, criminy. And all get out.
So yeah. So
okay.
And doing that, so if I go and do like conquest on a character, they usually get 1 or 2 Emperor chips just out doing things in the world, and so I go and spend those, and that is one way how I got my second Rodian companion.
Yeah.
But I can't decide which character is going to get that companion, so it's just in my legacy bank for now.
I need you to go ahead and stop talking about the Rodian.
Rodian. I would give it to you, but
nope,
it's not.
Nope, because then I won't have anything to whine about.
It won't work.
And whining is a Star Wars tradition. I wanted to go to Tush Station.
Anyway, so yes, that's what I've been doing this week. I think I've been doing some other stuff, but I'm sure it'll come up as we talk about things.
Yep.
And so how has your week been, Max?
Great. It has been spectacular, wonderful, amazing, which it has.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday was good. Thursday was good. I've been doing, and we talked about this. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. It came up. It was popularized via UtiniCast. So those guys were talking about it, Kitty and Chill. They brought up the point that if you log in to a character and a character is not able to do a certain kind of content that would be a priority objective, you don't get that priority objective. So if you log in on a character that can't do operations because it's level 1, you won't get the weekly for operations, and you won't get any daily. Well, there is no daily for operations, but you won't get the weekly for operations. Given this, if you want to be weighted towards the have your best chances to get what you would like, you could decide to log in a level 75 character versus logging in a level 1 character, or what I do, which is every day and every morning now, I log in a level 10 character. Because if you're level 10, you can do PvP, you can do GSF, you don't get flashpoints, so I have not gotten the flashpoint weekly, and you don't get the do eight quests and black hole. So all I ever have to do, because I don't mind PvP and GSF, is I either have to do PvP or GSF or kill 75 things on either the starter planets or Dromenkos or Coruscant.
That's right. So if you like
That's it.
PvP and GSF, then you get to pick your priority objectives.
Right. So it really works really well for me, not as well for other people that don't want to do PvP and GSF. But for those people, you definitely want to log in on a level 75, because then you have more chance of getting flashpoints and operations for your weekly, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But it's working great for me because I want my weeklies to be PvP and GSF.
Yeah.
And then I want my dailies to line up with that, or kill 75, which on Korriban, Korriban on my Sork, it takes about 17 seconds to kill 75 things. Just like stand in one place and lightning storm and put my companion on DPS, and it's just amazing. And then I found a great place on Ord Mantell as well. You go out of the base and just keep on going until you get down to the beach. Just keep going straight out of the base until you get down to the beach. And then just turn in a circle, and basically they respawn as fast as you kill the groups, pretty much within about a 60-meter circle. So you got to walk around just a little bit. But especially for ranged, if you've got a ranged AOE, you just mow them down, and they keep respawning, and you're done really in about 2 minutes with that, which is great. So I could
probably do that with dailies, because say I logged in a level 10 character and they got the 2 dailies. Well, War Zones and GSF, and then I re-rolled one of them, it's going to be kill 75, right?
Yep, it will. Yes, it will. And then if you got, you sort of have a chance. I think then there's 4 choices. So, because it's kill 70. The only things I've ever seen so far, and I've been doing this for almost a week now, is PvP, GSF. This is for the dailies. PvP, GSF, kill 75 on Homeworld, or kill 75 on Capital Worlds. That's all I've seen is those 4.
Right.
So there you go. Fun till BioWare takes the T-Bird away. The chat room is saying they're going to find out that we're doing this now and fixing it. And if they do, I will rant, because what my feeling is this is kind of what it would feel like if we got to pick our priority objectives. And to me, it feels really good. I get to do what I want, or have a better chance of doing what I want, get a more constrained definition of what I want. And I don't dread logging in to find out what my priority objectives are for the day. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll change it.
I don't think they will either.
I think this is an unintended result, but I think if they want preferred players to be participating, which they do have a track for preferred players, they have to have a way for them not to get operations.
True. And even if they're level 75, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My only concern
So
was they could
but,
just
I
say,
mean-
do you have any level 75 on your account? And, and then just trigger it off of that.
Well, and then if they do that, then I'm going to say, why can't we see the inventory across account?
True. If you
Because
can do
they've said they
that kind
can't
of
do that
lookup,
because it's too hard.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't give away that you can actually do a select star from all characters on account. You have to maintain the illusion that's impossible. All right. Anyway, that's what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll give you some news if there is a change to that. But for now, there is not. But there is other news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
First up in the news, we do not have a PTS. That's why we're talking about the High Republic, although there's great High Republic news that came out this week with the new novel starting. It's the Wave 2. We do not have the PTS yet. It's still supposed to be this week, which means probably 5 minutes after the podcast is done, the PTS will be up. I think they're waiting. So you can go ahead now. We're already podcasting. Jackie, you can tell them that they have the go-ahead. They can stage the PTS now, because it's already too late for us. When it does go up, there will be 4 threads that will be available to be discussing parts to be talking about what you need to know. One will be how to access the PTS, the usual. You got to download it. You can do it this way, X way. The second will be a detailed breakdown of what this phase of the PTS will cover, and that should include the new way of talking about the status of the items on the PTS, like this combat styles for the Jedi Guardian. Is it an early preview, and what's the color coding for what they're giving to us? That will be part of it. Third will be a feedback thread. Give all your feedback. And fourth will be a status updates thread to talk about what's being updated as it goes along. They have broadcast that this initial phase of the PTS, you will be able to try out the Jedi Guardian combat style. So I may owe Seema 1 credit here because we will get to try.
4 billion. It was 4 billion, I thought.
We backed it down to the trading places 1 credit. It's in this. That's still recorded.
I don't remember that. I just remember 4
that
billion.
Is recorded. No.
I mean,
it's not.
Chat
4
room, back
billion.
me up here.
They will back you up, and that's why I have it recorded. Because they'll back you up no matter what you say.
Doesn't seem fair.
1 credit. I still think it will not be what I would consider the combat styles testing. So I'm still holding on to my 1 credit. If I can't log in on a Sork and spec as Jedi Guardian, then I'm saying that combat styles are not in. If I can, then you get 1 credit, not 4 billion. What else?
How about if you can log into? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, we'll see.
I think it might be some subset of it, but it's definitely combat style. Not
if it's any sort of a subset
abilities.
Besides just logging into a Jedi Guardian and seeing Jedi Guardian combat style as a choice, if you can do it on any other character besides a Jedi Guardian, then yes, you get a credit.
Okay. All right. Also going on right now, there's a code active until the 15th for a reward of some sort that I can't remember now.
It's picture. It's a deco that goes on the wall. It's big, cool. It's kind of cool, but it's one of those framed picture decos
of a head of call.
Hedda, yes.
Yeah, head of call. So lots of SWTOR is the code, which is LOTS for the name of the X-Pack, and then of in lowercase, and then SWTOR. So all uppercase except for the word of.
Nope, that's Keith. Lots of SWTOR, that one. Do not go to SWTOR.com/redeem like they had on the slides, because that's not there. I think it's a redeem -code. But if you go to your account page, there's a redeem code menu item on the left. But lots of SWTOR like that. Capital lots, small OF, capital all caps SWTOR. By July 15th. Also in the news, This was interesting. It sort of got slipped in, and it wasn't in the patch notes, and they're going to have to update it. The PvP brackets are back to where they were. So they're back to 3 PvP brackets. It's 1 to 42, 43 to 74, and level 75 PvP brackets. Those PvP brackets were changed to only 2. It was 1 to 74 and 75 and up. They reverted that, and it wasn't even in the patch notes, and now it will be in the patch notes. That went in with 6.3.1, and the low-level PvP community rejoiced. So there you go.
Which I figure the low-level PvP community is the PvP community because it's just the same community, but this is their low-level characters.
Right. Pretty much.
Also, guess what? Nightlife is in progress. Well, yes. We already had a discussion about Emperor chips, but yes. So it's still going on. It hasn't finished up yet, and we haven't missed it, so we still have a chance.
And Seema's pro tip for the week is spend those Emperor chips as soon as you get them on the character because they are not legacy bound. BioWare! Okay. Guilden community news. Monthly schedule still continues. This Friday, by the time you're hearing this, if you get it hot off the feed or you're listening live, Friday night of this week is the hard mode ops night. So Marcus will be running the team for people that want to try out hard mode operations. And then next week will be achievements. Later in the month, we're going to be getting very close to our Summer of Love AIE Guild event week that we have every year. We've had about 10 years of this with in-game events. There will be a couple big in-game events for Star Wars that you'll be hearing about more in the next couple weeks. Be ready for that. And we'll talk much more in detail in the next couple weeks. I think this weekend we will nail down the actual dates and some of the initial events, so our communication plan will then be able to go in place by podcast next week. Shout out to the chat room. Thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. And as I promised, in the post show, we'll be seeing some cool 3D modeling that I've been doing for some of our guild assets. And probably talking about some other Star Wars thing. But I think right now we can get back to a little bit of the highest of High Republic.
I still don't know what I should call you, sir.
You can call me Marcion.
Martian Row. I'm Martian Row. Combination of someone who's really breathy and William Shatner.
It's menacing.
Is it menacing? Is it menacing? Is it menacing to you? That is not menacing to me. At all.
No.
One bit. Not even one bit. It's like milk toast.
Yeah.
I'm Martian Row. I want to really make the point here that I'm a bad person. Be afraid. Be very afraid. No.
I think there's a number of ways where the audible version of this book does a disservice.
I think it's a really interesting voice and a really interestingly constructed voice actor voice.
Right.
Really unique.
Right.
In that way.
But I feel like if you were reading the book and the voice was in your head, he would be more of a bad guy.
He would be
than
more like
this.
I'm Martian Row, the eye of the Nihil.
Or something.
You have
something
failed me for the last time. I'm going to give you some bad paths so you just like fly all over the place now and crash your ship. And I laugh and no, Loden Great Storm, I expect you to die. There.
I mean,
there.
I expect him to grow as a villain. Like he's going to get like bigger and more threatening in what he can do and what his reach is or whatever. Sort of like how Thanos, I was reading today, started out like as a dude in a helicopter that gets arrested by police at one point.
What? No. What were you reading? No. No, never.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes. Red Stick knows the Thanos
Oh,
copter.
in the
the
comic.
comics.
Oh, in the original comics. Well, he was still a
Yeah.
Celestial. But he
But he
got
got
arrested by
arrested.
police?
Yes.
In the comics?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a long way to him being a Celestial. Heavy spoilers. Thanos gets arrested in his Thanos copter.
I think he means there's a channel called Heavy Spoilers, and they talked about it as well as Black
Oh.
Widow.
An Eternal,
Yeah.
not a Celestial. Yeah, okay. Well, still. So, it's one step down from a Celestial. Right?
Oh, I know what it was because I was reading about Loki, and they were talking about some of the sort of Easter eggy things in Loki, and the Thanos copter is in there. Anyway.
Oh yeah. There's a little hidden thing that flashed by that me and my crew, my daughters who watch it with me every week, we even went back and paused the show afterwards and rewound and studied a couple scenes because there was some hidden stuff that was kind of amusing. Anyway, yes, we're here to talk about the High Republic. The High Republic is broken into 3 phases, and each phase has multiple waves. We are in wave 2 of phase 1 of the High Republic media. There was a series of books that came out in wave 1, and that's what we read. In fact, I've got a post up here. We can sort of break it down and remind us of some of what, and that's mostly what we want to do here. We want to remind everyone. So spoilers in wave 1 will happen now. We will not spoil Rising Storm, or is that what the name of the next book is? I think
Right.
That's what it's
Right.
called. We will not spoil Rising Storm besides the setting, and I will talk about a couple of the characters that are in the first couple chapters because I want to remind everyone of where we started, who we met, what they did that sets up now the Rising Storm, which is a classic, episode 2 Star Wars title
Yes.
in my book.
Right.
It's like, happy title, bad title, menacing title, and then, conclusion climactic title. So I expect the Breaking Dawn, that's going to be the name of the next Star Wars book. It's going to be Light of the Jedi, Rising Storm, the morning has broken.
So you think it's going to be a trilogy?
I don't know. I don't know if it will be. I think it will. Yeah. And in my head, I'm feeling a trilogy from like these, from the Light of the Jedi feels like a trilogy to me. But they could keep it going.
Yeah.
And there's other, there's the other book series too, and then there's comic books. They could have a second trilogy that's sort of like in that top tier. Mm-hmm. So if you remember, this is Rising Storm. Let's go back straight up to the High Republic. If you remember how they're doing this, the High Republic is broken into sort of a couple. It's all sort of around the same events and same time and same sets of characters, but a couple tracks of literature basically. There's an adult series. Lots of sex and violence.
No, it's just a series. And then use the adjectives for the others.
So that's like okay. So that's like the main series. Yeah. There's like the novel series, then there's the young adult series, and then there's the junior series, which is even below young adult. So the young adult series is sort of like the tween teen series, and then the junior series is like, from
middle grade.
Yeah.
Middle school. Yeah.
Middle, from the time you can read to middle school. They're also going to have some of the comic books are already out. And then coming soon, there will be a manga, which is an expanded version of a comic book, and an audio drama coming in August, which will still be narrative. So this is all in that kind of, this is, prose kind of content, narrative content, as opposed to animated series and TV shows and movies. So it's no TV shows and movies yet. So yeah, you were saying. Seema?
I was just going to say that the audio is going to be about, what's her name? Lena, the third Tempest Runner.
Oh,
From-
really?
Yeah.
Lorna
D.
D.
From Light of the Jedi. So she's one of the 3 Tempest Runners. So this audio thing coming out in August is about her.
Huh. Lorna D makes me think of Grease. Sandra D.
Okay. Yeah, Sandra D, right.
Sandy. Yep. Well, well, oh, well, oh, well. Tell me more, tell me more. Are the Nihil real bad? Lorna D. There we go. Yeah, so that's with these 3 series, the novel series, the young adult series, and the junior series, each had 1 novel so far. That was part of Wave 1. And it's been described as this sort of is around the time that the era of the High Republic is really kicking off. And Seema, you why don't you describe it, because you even heard some of the authors.
So
talking about it recently.
I watched an interview with the author of, oh my gosh, what's his name that wrote the first book that wrote The Light of the Jedi, Charles Soule. And he referred to the hyperspace disaster as sort of the beginning of the period known as the High Republic.
Yes. Which
it doesn't mean that
I automatically started to argue, because I was like, it's not really the hyperspace disaster, but it's really the starlight beacon that represents the high. So I was apparently, and then I realized I'm arguing with the author of the content and telling him that he's wrong.
But it doesn't really mean that like that happened on a Friday, but on Thursday it wasn't the High Republic. It's just a convention, really.
Nope, it was just a lowly low republic, and then the hyperspace disaster happened, and boom, it went to high. It like went to 11. It was like on a 3, and then they turned it to 11, and it was the highest of High Republic. They executed Order 420, and then they were so high.
Oh my God!
The highest republic.
Just so people know, I did not vote for that.
Seema totally did. Seema's always talking about the highest republic. She's like, man, be much cooler if you did call it the High Republic. That's what she says every time. So yes, Light of the Jedi, that was the book we talked about. Ton of characters are introduced in Light of the Jedi. But that's not the only place that characters were introduced. They were also introduced in some of the other series. So they were, now I'm lost. I lost myself. I lost my bad self. Where did it go? Here we go. High Republic. So in the other book series, there's the Rising Storm. This one. In the young adult novel Into the Dark, we got to meet Padawan Rhea Silas, and then in the middle grade novel Test of Courage, we got to meet Jedi Vernestra Rowe and Imri Kantaros, who becomes a Padawan, I think, as part of that book.
I think I might read that one because she has a lightsaber that she can use as a whip.
I saw a drawing of that. So I didn't know if those were 2 different things, or her lightsaber, sometimes it's stiff and sometimes it's all wavy.
I guess
flexible. I don't know. That seems
interesting.
I don't think that's
weird.
Weird.
It seems like it wouldn't be a huge time investment to just read the book. That's what I'm going to do.
I was elected to lead, not to read. You'll have to tell me. And then also in the comic books, there were characters introduced in some of the comic books as well. And so we're talking about in the first book, Light of the Jedi, the first book that we talked about, the hyperspace disaster, which was caused by Martian Rowe. He used the paths to destroy a freighter in the hyperspace lanes, and then the debris from that destruction, that that crash is what was exiting hyperspace at nearly the speed of light for some reason, even though that's not how hyperspace works. And then, like, magically aimed directly at planets because, space is really, really compact and small, and that's not how space works. But anyway, it was hitting space stations and hitting planets, and that was the hyperspace disaster. And it was appearing in different systems, and the Jedi then had to go and fix this. And so this was like our opportunity to see these High Republic Jedi in action, our opportunity to see the galactic government coming together and taking action. And what's the name of the Chancellor? Who's pretty cool.
Lena
So.
Yeah.
Lena So and her two tigers that walk, her two force cats that walk around with her. She's pretty cool.
And make sure that she gets what she wants.
Yes, they. Who's gonna say no to the Chancellor of the Republic, who also happens to have two, force
lions,
like human-sized force lions walking around, force pumas walking around with her. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll get you that extra whipped cream on your latte. No problem. The thing is, though, that the Nihil that have their rise as part of the what happens in Light of the Jedi, the Nihil are also introduced in a couple of those other novels, and they show up in the comic books. But the Nihil are not the only antagonist that's sort of happening and being introduced and being born at this time as part of the narrative. In fact, I would argue that they're actually the less dangerous, less interesting antagonist.
Right. Like, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but when we were talking about the High Republic the first time, I didn't feel like the Nihil were going to be the focal antagonist, because they just are what they are. They're like pirates.
They're just a band of pirates. And I get it. Martian Rowe, I mean, he's got a couple other things going on. He's got this weird artifact that he's chasing down that he wants to do bad things with.
He may turn out to be a really big baddie, but the Nihil are just going to be his pawns.
The rest of the Nihil are they're like the
they're just trying to make a living, man.
What are the Ravagers? Are they called the Ravagers? No. What are the
Reavers?
pirates? No, not the Reavers. The pirates in Guardians of the Galaxy. Are they the Ravagers?
I don't know.
They seem like that.
The Reavers. I went all the way back to Firefly.
Firefly. The Reavers are that would be kind of the Ravagers. Reavers would be kind of dark.
Yeah.
How do the Reavers clean their spears? They stick it through the wash. They put it through the wash. I ruined the joke. They put them through the wash. How do they clean their spears?
This actually is pretty dark. The way the
Drengir.
The first book. Well, yes, but the way the first book started too was pretty dark.
Yeah, and well, billions of people dying, I guess is.
I mean, it wasn't treated lightly in a typical way that you would call dark, but it was everyone that for the first.
They weren't comic. They weren't funny comic. I mean, the Ravagers in Guardians of the Galaxy are a bit comic.
Well, they didn't get saved, so they're
Right.
So they introduced a bunch of characters just to kill them off, which is not typical of Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, you go through like the first third of the novel, like, here's blah blah blah, and this is what their life is like, and they're dead. Well, let's go here and meet blah blah blah, and this is what also
they're dead too. Yeah.
So now, that the 17th character we introduced you to. Now this one you need to pay attention to, because this is going to be important for the rest of the novels. All right, thanks for that. But anyway, the Drengir are also getting introduced in that wave 1. The Drengir are sentient plant Cthulhu creatures with vines that are sort of like unstoppable invasive species that apparently, I guess I think that was it in the second novel? I think it was in the young adult novel Into the Dark. Yeah. So in the young adult novel, so spoilers, in the young adult novel Into the Dark, Padawan Wraith Silas, they basically unleash the Drengir on the galaxy. Good job. well done, well played. It's their fault directly. No doubt about it. Well, it's their fault. It's also the fault of whoever left the Drengir, whoever decided that it was a good idea to not just like toss them into the sun, but put them on a space station with like a a door that's like loosely locked, with a sign on it that says like danger. Don't
Right.
open dead inside. So the Drengir, I would argue, is more interesting and a bigger threat to the galaxy, and will be in this next novel. So a little bit of a setup. Shows up in the first couple chapters. So Nihil and Drengir both are part of what's coming in Rising Storm. I don't know how much they'll be around, but they're there. So that's interesting. And then we've got, as we said, we've got Martian Rowe. He's definitely in it. He's got his part to play. I'm sure it's going to be the continuation of his story. He's got Loden Greatstorm locked up in a special prison on his big ship with like tortured people in pain around him to block him off from the Force so he can't concentrate, and he can't say things like, "I'm Loden Greatstorm." And then, so he's going to go off and do continue his journey to do whatever he's doing, because he wants to he wants to lead the Nihil, and he hates the Jedi for various reasons, which I think we're going to learn more about. And then there's all the protagonists. So let's go through some of the protagonists. Who's top of your list on protagonists you want to hear more about, Seema?
Well, I mean, Greatstorm for sure.
Right. And I don't know how much we're going to hear about Loden Greatstorm, because Loden Greatstorm, at least like, chapter 1, chapter 2. Again, we're only a couple chapters in.
Okay.
But
from my perspective,
he's got to be in it.
We have to rescue him.
I would think.
That's the story for me. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm not saying it's going to happen, but yeah, we would want to rescue him. But I think sort of secondary to that is like Elzar Mann, who had the vision at the end of
Elzar Mann.
Yeah, Light of the Republic, where he saw Jedi dying agonizing deaths in the midst of this like galactic chaos. And so as this book opens, he's ruminating on that, or is coming back, he's thinking about that. So I think that's going to be things like I don't know if that's going to be the Drengir that are setting that in motion that he has a vision of, or if it's something that Martian Rowe is doing that's going to set that in motion.
Interesting.
Or whatever.
Interesting. I think I kind of know, but I can't say. I mean, I'm only on chapter 7 out of 70 chapters, but I think there's a hint. Interesting. Okay. And you might not even get it when you read it, when you read about one of his first visions.
I probably won't.
I find Elzar to be a little bit whiny. Not
well. In the
like
tradition, the best tradition. And he has a crush on
Avar.
Yes.
Avar Kriss. Avar Kriss is like she's like a senior Jedi, and she's like the head of the Jedi Council now at this point, isn't she? I think so. She's on the Jedi Council at a minimum.
She's definitely a Star Jedi. She's not interested because she has more of the Jedi, I'm above that kind of a thing. Like I'm in control of my emotions.
But she's still, I mean, they've kind of had moments along the way.
Well, yes, but she says to him, "We're not Padawans anymore."
Yes. Yeah. And cool your jets there, bro. And he's like, "What? I'm gonna have to go meditate now. I feel bad." That's why I don't like him. Avar Kriss, she's like the hero, the hero's hero. At least on the council, if not the head of the council. She's the best of the best of the best. sir. Also, though, doesn't that make her sort of like his superior officer in a way? Is that like sexual harassment if they have a relationship? Shouldn't they report it to HR? So maybe
Nothing good
that's
can
why.
come of it.
Yeah, no, it's just gonna end in tears. For Elzar, he's just gonna be crying in a corner, and Avar Chris is gonna be like, "Sorry, I've outgrown you." Lena So, Lena So, I like how she. So she's the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic, and acts like it, and acts like a good Supreme Chancellor, not a whiny, conniving, evil Supreme Chancellor, which we have had come up multiple times. But a cool, well played Supreme Chancellor in my mind so far, at least. Who knows? She could turn bad. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So who knows? And then we get into some of the other, this pattern of the Padawans, who are really the main focus, and the Jedi that they're attached to is sort of what I'm seeing with a bunch of these stories. Because I think they want this to appeal to a wide range of audiences. So I think they've got a bunch of these kind of like teen and preteen characters that the teen and preteen audiences can latch onto. So that brings us to Bel Zadofar. What's your view on Bel Zadofar, Seema?
So I feel like I felt like in the first book we didn't really know enough about him, and it felt like even though he had this internal story of being afraid of jumping or whatever it was, and then he finally jumped, and then they were going to make him a knight. It seemed all too fast. But I like him better in this second book, so I'm not going to say anything more than that. But I am kind of warming up to him now, and yes, his companion, who is now his master, Indira.
Right, because his master was Loden Greatstorm, and that's at the end of the Light of the Jedi. They're like, good job. Loden said, good job. You overcame what you needed to overcome. You're a Jedi Knight now, and Bel Zadofar in that conversation said, "All right, sounds good, but I'm not doing it without you. You're by my side when I go through the ceremony." Then Loden Greatstorm gets kidnapped. They don't know. Nobody knows what happened to Loden Greatstorm.
Right. They don't know because his ship disappeared.
So at this point, Bel Zadofar is like holding back on going through and becoming a Jedi Knight because it just doesn't feel right without Loden Greatstorm. Which is fine, but
But he also has a lot to learn. He says that too.
Well, yeah, which then I think he shouldn't be a Jedi Knight. I think that's part of the development of his story a little bit more.
Yeah.
But if Loden Greatstorm says you're a Jedi Knight, wouldn't you say, all right, I should just get over myself? I guess I'm a Jedi Knight because Loden Greatstorm said I was? I mean, come on.
I would, unless
you kind of did.
He disappeared.
Right, unless he disappeared and your confidence went with him, I guess.
Right, and or you thought, well, maybe he was wrong about his ability not to get kidnapped.
Right.
Maybe he's wrong about this too.
Yeah. And then also tagging along, and I think will be showing up in the next novel, a character that was introduced in Light of the Jedi. The Ember, the Char Hound. So Ember the Char Hound is the Char Hound companion that was hanging out with the Jedi that were on the planet where Loden Greatstorm went to save everybody. Now Ember, I guess, is like, instead of a droid going along with Bel Zadofar, he gets Ember the Char Hound. That's his companion. He doesn't have an R2-D2. He's got Ember the Char Hound, who seems to like be force sensitive and more intelligent than humans, but whatever. And then yes, he's attached now to Indira Stokes, the Jedi, who has white head tentacles. They keep describing her white head tentacles, which sounds gross. Sounds like, doesn't that kind of look like maggoty? I don't know. Maybe it looks really elegant. And then I did want to mention, because I know he's coming back, though I'm not. The descriptions are still going a little bit too far with Buryaga. I like Buryaga. Buryaga's around. Buryaga's a great, could be an interesting character, as long as they don't ruin Buryaga by going too far down this path of, which they did some of the first novel, and then just like the intro lines to introducing him, like chapter 1 of the next novel, of so sensitive, very, very sensitive. He's just the most sensitive being in the universe. Sensitive Buryaga. It's like, okay,
I didn't take it
get
that way. I took it that not that he was particularly more sensitive, but that his version of the Force was sensing emotions.
Right. That's definitely the case. Maybe it's a chapter later, but it gets played up by a non-Force person, of like, you just feel like you're gonna see Buryaga like crying in the corner, by chapter 10. So I hope they don't go that way. If they don't go that way, that's fine. But yes, his talent, which is one of the cool things, and in fact, you brought this up, Seema, with the first one, is they've introduced this idea that each of the Jedi can have like a somewhat unique talent, and and Buryaga's
It's like
talent is this Force sensitivity of sensing feelings even at like mega spatial distances.
Yeah.
Which came into play in a huge way in the first novel, because he was able to sense that, hey, here's a chunk of debris hurtling through space at nearly the speed of light, and there's survivors on it, because Buryaga was able to sense them. So cool, he was a hero. But it's a blonde-haired Wookiee Padawan. A Wookiee with a lightsaber. Everybody's pretty happy about that. Look, cross guards and the lightsabers, and they continue to talk about the cross guards and the lightsabers as well. That'll be in the next book. And Buryaga's attached to, again, I feel like it's like Buryaga's the focus, and then I bet you don't even know her name, but it's Nib. Her name's Nib Essek, is the Jedi that Buryaga hangs out with, which I still like. I mean, she was still a fully formed character, but definitely not the focus, even though she's the one who does the talking, because Buryaga just says, Is that good? That wasn't good. That was terrible. I'll work on that one. Not as well practiced as my Martian row. And practice that one a little bit more. And then one other character that is definitely in this book that I did want to set up, because she's introduced, I think, only in a comic book, and it was one of the comic books that was written by what's his name, who wrote this one, Kevin Scott, is Ty Yorick. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew her well. Ty Yorick is, and so here she is. She's got like she's got like an amputated head tentacle. She's a Tholothian. She is a ex-Jedi, or not full Jedi. Yeah, I thought they described her as an ex-Jedi, saber for hire, sort of mercenary. So she's like introduced in chapter 2 or something of the book. She comes out of the comic books. You may want to, again, if you want to like have the full setup, you kind of, and I'm getting this kind of feeling, and I wonder what you feel about it, Seema. I'm getting the kind of feeling that maybe I gotta read all the books and all the comic books.
Yeah, I got that feeling too.
I mean, because even just in the one chapter I've had or 2 chapters now of Ty Yorick, or they're like part of a chapter. I want to hear more. I want the Ty Yorick story.
And I feel like you can probably read the comics online somewhere. I'm guessing that's how you buy them these days, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure they're digital. I'm sure you have to pay for them, though. And I thought about this. I never was into comics growing up. I never bought comics growing up. And I always wonder why. Whenever I think of comics, I always think it's something you wouldn't pay for. Why would you pay money for that? Not because I don't think there's value, or it's valuable art, or it's valuable writing. And I realized today, and I actually pondered this today, and I came to a conclusion. My family didn't have very much money when I was young, when I was that age, when I was like, the preteen years.
Comic book age, yeah.
There was no money for comic books. Comic books wouldn't be a thing you would ever spend money on. You could save up money, and you could buy things once in a while. And I saved up some money, and I had like 2 or 3 Star Wars action figures. And for Christmas I got like one of the 12-inch Luke Skywalker action figures. We weren't, we didn't have nothing. But
I see what you're saying though. But it's like, why would you use your money on a comic book when you could buy an action figure?
Right. Or I was taught to save, and I really took it to heart. Like depositing money in a passbook savings account, that kind of thing. I was that little kid. The comic books seemed really sort of like fragile and flimsy and transient in my mind. So I never,
because then there'll be another one
was
next
really
week.
Precious, yeah. And money was so precious, I wouldn't spend it. I'd never bought baseball cards, and I never bought comic books because it was like a flimsy piece of paper. And I went to the library for books. So there. So that's why it is. I got to get over that, because there's some really good content. And really good I'm one of my favorite writers. In fact, my number one favorite writer is Neil Gaiman. And Neil Gaiman started as a quote unquote graphic novel, but comic book writer. Some amazing content. So I need to get over. I can spend the 50 cents to buy the comic book these days. I can take some of the 2 quarters out of my passbook savings account these days and get the comic book series. So maybe I need to do that, and so I can learn about Ty Yorick, because I want to hear more, because she sounds cool. She sounds like the kind of character I would want to like role play in a pen and paper Star Wars universe. Saber, ex-Jedi, Saber for hire, renegade, loner out there, but sucker for the little guy kind of person.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
I like that character. Yeah.
So that's tons more than that, I'm sure, that are going to show up and be in these books. I get the feeling it's still going to be more of a Martian Row versus the Jedi kind of book. But not guaranteed. And I don't know what the Drengir are going to be. What are your expectations for? Let's talk about the book itself that we've started. What are your expectations for Rising Storm so far, Seema? What do you hope it's going to be about? What do you think it's going to be about? Cross guards on lightsabers and why they came to be. And...
Well, I wish it was going to be about rescuing Lode and Greatstorm.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to be. I think that's going to happen. If it was going to happen, it would be in like later books. I think this is going to be about Martian Rowe gaining power, about his goals, but maybe not everything about how he can accomplish it. And I don't know what the Jedi are going to do necessarily.
So
they'll probably be there's probably going to be a battle.
A battle, like a fight of some kind with like lightsabers. Yeah. What about in space? Do you think there'll be some
spaceships? There'll be spaceships. Yeah,
fighting at some point.
Yep.
I don't know. That's a stretch.
But basically, I think it's going to be the rise of Martian Rowe, and the Gringor are going to be like a danger, but maybe their danger will grow in another novel.
I think you may be right. I think. That's interesting. So if that came together and came to a head within the sort of the novel series, I wonder if there would be a point where Martian Rowe continues to rise to power, becomes a force in the galaxy. Maybe that's sort of what happens over the course of this book. What if the Drengir rise as the real threat, and they threaten not only the Republic and the Jedi, but also the Nihil and Martian,
Mm-hmm.
what if they
Mm-hmm.
have to like reluctantly team up in book 3? Not at least like come to like a tentative truce, and like they both need to be like coming like war on two fronts with the Drengir.
Or maybe some Jedi are going to have to save some Nihil.
From the Drengir.
Yeah, no truce, just rescue.
Like
They
like
see it
the
happening and they have to go in there. Yeah.
yeah, and which the Jedi would, but the Nihil would leave the Jedi to die.
Right, of course.
Uh,
The rise of Rochambeau. Red Stick says.
Rochambeau. My name is not Rochambeau.
I guess what I think is like both of these antagonists, I think, have to have long lives and live into subsequent books, because I think
Yes.
we want there to be a long story arc for the arch villains.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't think we're
we do
going to
too.
beat him in this book or the next book, but yeah,
That would be interesting.
he's going to be our Moriarty.
Like Martian Row. So maybe by the end of the third, so say it is trilogy-ish. Maybe by the end of the third book, he's dethroned and exiled, but still out there. That would make sense. He's so then by movie 9, he can come back because of a Force dyad.
It'll be like the
Force
last
dyad.
Nihil. But
Good
he's not
old
even really a
Dusties.
Nihil.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I expect out of this novel going into it, actually. You know, I didn't dislike by any means the first novel, so there's my review. I didn't dislike the High Republic. Put that on the book cover. So they're not going to put my quotes on the book cover. It was fine. I thought it was fine. I thought they introduced a little bit too much. I thought they could have developed a couple of the characters more if they focused on fewer characters. I would have liked to see a little bit more development in a story that was a little more focused. So that makes me not really. My expectations for Rising Storm are that I hope it's a little bit more focused. And maybe less plot lines and less characters going off and doing random things. But they've got all of these characters floating around now. I don't know.
So
we'll see.
here's my take on both of the books, and I haven't I've only read like 5 chapters of the Rising Storm, like you say, 5 out of 70. So it's just the beginning. I think instead of comparing it to other books, like comparing them to my favorite books that work for me on multiple levels, this is a visit in the Star Wars galaxy, and it creates a world. And whether or not you want to read them, the decision point I would offer is that, do you want to go spend some time in the world of Star Wars and go there and just have fun with it?
Yes. And I think that's the right approach. And my answer to that is yes, which is also why I think I should go get comic books and probably
Yeah,
read
I
the
think
other,
so too, because
novels.
I think the art would really be fantastic.
Yeah.
To see.
In fact, I saw a couple of the screenshots of, or a couple of the shots of the art of Martian Row, and Martian Row's art is really interesting and menacing and cool looking, and he's got like gray skin and pitch black eyes and
a mask.
And his mask is like really cool when he puts his mask on, but he doesn't always have his mask on, and that's what I would expect. So I think it's sort of well realized there. I mean, it's just I not to take anything away from what's his name, who does the voice acting on the novel, because as I said, it's one of the most unique voices. In fact, all of the voices that, and now I've got to look it up because I feel bad not saying his name. Does a ton of really unique and interesting voices. Some of the best voice acting I've heard in a long time. They could ditch the music and sound effects as far as I'm concerned and throw them into the sun because they are terrible, but the voice acting is quite good. It's a separate narrator that does the titles of the chapters, isn't it? I believe so. And in that was, I don't know who that was, but that's the person who said, we sort of skipped over it, a long time ago.
Really? That's not the same guy?
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. I think I'm pretty sure it's a different voice. Maybe he just changed his voice really in a galaxy far, far away. Really?
Yes.
You gotta say it that way. We know it's far, far away. Galaxy far, far away.
We're steeped in this. We know that.
Mark Thompson.
But you're right. His voices are really, really good.
He does a voice of an old woman in one of the first couple chapters. And wow.
Yeah.
And then
Like you really know what she's thinking.
to have like the pilot and Martian and the woman having a conversation and their dialogue together. Who knows? He could be taking a 10-minute break to get into the voice in between each of those lines, or like recording the lines separately. But whatever, so well developed those three voices. You wouldn't, just alone, if it wasn't just his name on here, you could almost think it's different people doing the different voices. So well done there, Mark Thompson. And then Kevin Scott. So let's wrap it up by just a couple words on Kevin Scott, so that we know who to blame at the end of the month when we're done with the novel. Kevin was mostly a comic book writer, but has also done a bunch of other things. Did some of the comic books of this series already, and now is picking up this second novel in this line. From Charles. He's British, from southwest England, Bristol. Born in 1973, so a couple of years younger than me. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And by the end of this novel, we will either be, writing a strongly worded letter of praise, or of our rant of the moment. So we'll see how that goes. So you got a lot of pressure on you, Kevin. Sorry to put all this pressure on you.
I think some of the criticisms you have of the first book are not completely in the control of the author too, because as a group, they kind of mapped out what the storyline of the High Republic is going to be, and they probably told him, these are the characters you need to. Well, I'm speculating, but these are the characters you need to introduce. These are the things that need to happen when. These are the beats, and then you write the book. Sort of how many, not really a novelization, but many books that are based on video games, they're a committee project.
Right. I think that could definitely be the case. And we said that in our initial review of the book as well.
Yeah.
But for all of you out there, this month will be Rising Storm month. By the end of the month, we will do a podcast where we dive into the book itself.
Read along with us.
We'll not spoil it until then, but pick it up, read with us, and then you can be part of the book discussion when we circle back around at the end of the month.
And if you like these books and you're a parent, there are kid versions of these two books. There's a kid version of Light of the Jedi and Rising Storm. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that, but that's interesting too. To sort of give them the.
Yeah, and they're like, let's see, one of the Light of the Jedi is called The Great Jedi Rescue, and Rising Storm is called Showdown at the Fair.
Okay. Showdown.
They call them young reader adaptations.
All right, that's interesting. That's very interesting. One of I expect the tone to continue in what we've seen so far, And it seems like a whole focus of this is really on young readers as well. That's a real George Lucas kind of influence in a positive way. One of the things, in fact, this was part of what we were hearing about the showrunners for Mandalorian. The guidance they were given is you have to make sure that you're giving the audience, especially the new young audiences, hope. And it has to be sort of like that positive, hopeful outcome. This is one of the places that they can have that kind of thing in their life for real, or not for real, but so I would expect that this team has that kind of guidance as well. I don't expect this novel to end like on a real dark down, everybody's dead,
No, but
kind
it
of
might have a
note.
cliffhanger.
Certainly can have a cliffhanger.
Like
Yeah,
like Han Solo in
Yeah.
Carbonite. Yeah.
Sure. Well, Loden Greatstorm is sort of trapped in Carbonite practically at the end of
Yeah,
the first book.
that's true. He's trapped in
Kind of a bad place.
vibrations of bad feelings.
Yeah, I'm with like surrounded by tortured, by people undergoing constant torture. That's
Right.
kind of dark.
Yes, it is.
So maybe the Great Jedi Rescue sort of, downplays that a little bit. And then Loden, he had to stay in his room. He got grounded. Marchion said, "You're grounded."
Right. And I wonder how they handled the beginning of the first book.
And the big
too.
rocks were coming in. One rock, it's sort of like smashed a house, but the other rocks,
And everyone inside went to sleep.
they went to live on a farm.
They went to live on a
with
farm.
your hamster. All right, one last thing, Seema, because you brought it up. You said Loden Greatstorm will not be rescued by the end of this novel. I say Loden Greatstorm will be rescued by the end of this novel. I bet you one credit that Loden Greatstorm will be rescued by the end of this novel. Are you on?
Yep,
You in?
absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
If you all out there want to set, don't tell me the odds, but if you want to set the odds and what the over-under are on our bet, feel free to do that. Otherwise, you will have to watch and see what happens between Seema and I on the multiple bets we now have running. But with that, we are done for today, and our EPC 388 droid can get ready to get this 420 inspired podcast out to all of you out there.
Not 420 inspired.
For podcast links, follow us on Twitter. Now you know what our show planning sessions are like between Seema and I.
Oh my God.
Not at all. For podcast links, follow us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Max the Gray, and I do get the podcast links out there, and I did do it properly this week. And if you know any cool people that should be playing with us, tell them to come listen to the podcast. Tell them to come find our guild. AIE-guild.org is our guild website, and we have our guild Discord link in the upper right where you can get in. Seema and I both watch Discord pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you want to get in there, we have guilds on the Imperial and the Republic side on Starforge. We would love to have you come play with us. That's why we do this show. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.